So one of the challenges that we deal with as students and professionals in the working world is how to do high quality research. In other words, research that meets the highest standards of academic and professional credibility. Anybody can do a Google search. So when an employer asks us to research something, or an upper level professor asks us to research something, they're not going to be impressed if we just go onto Google and come back to them with a wiki page. We need to learn how to find more credible and advanced sources. And we're going to begin that journey today by taking a look at our library's databases. And we're going to check databases by subject. So you can see we're here on the library homepage. We're going to go look for databases by subject. And what makes databases a really useful tool for us in this course, and I think in our academic and professional lives, is they are built in, designed to be at the highest level of credibility. First of all, experts in the field are hired to write the articles for these different databases, and then they're evaluated by librarians and teams of other experts in the field. So we come in with a high level of expertise and credibility behind the author of the text. Secondly, they're usually well researched themselves using bibliographies and footnotes or other kinds of resources to supplement what the author's knowledge. So we're brought into the world of scholarship on some level by them. Another thing that's great about databases is they tend to be current. They're kept up. So you can almost always rely on a database as being a reasonably current source, and articles usually from the last 10 years, unless you're looking at something that's taking you back to a historical document. So right from the start, a database is a really nice place to start working. It's also true that many databases will provide us with the citation we need for our works cited list. And that's a nice thing because it's built right in and we don't have to put it together ourselves. So you can see there's a lot of different sources here. But what I want to do is zoom in on the databases that I think are most helpful for us. And they're going to all pop in here with literature, culture, and religion. So we're going to zoom in and look more closely at those. So you can see here that I've zoomed in, and these are the ones that we're going to find ourselves wanting to use the most. American Mosaic with its different ethnic categories, which are very useful for us because these are all groups that we're going to be interested in talking about. Daily Life Through History, which is sort of a historical overview with lots of sort of hands-on practical topics as well as traditional historical. And then Pop Culture Universe. And you may find yourself using other things on here, and you're welcome to explore. But in general, I find these really useful tools for us. So if we're working on something like our street art project, we can go into these databases and look for background materials that will be more useful to us than just regular web searches. If you find something on the web, it's a little hard to evaluate its credibility, or that credibility can be limited. That doesn't mean we're never going to use web stuff, but it just means that we're going to be critical thinkers about it and try to make sure that we also find strong, academically and professionally credible sources like databases from libraries. So let's dig into one of these databases and see how finding something might work. So let's work from the let's work from the premise that I've clicked into the Latino American experience under American Mosaic, and let's recall the sample post that I did. It was about Chicano Park. So if I was going to try to sort of think about the background of a mural at Chicano Park, I would ask myself, what kind of information would help my reader who's reading my analysis of this work of street art? What would help them understand that street art better? And perhaps I'll use that piece that I find in my analysis, or maybe I'll just include it in my works cited as a resource that someone who wanted to learn more could go to. So when we're working on our street art, we're thinking of our sources for material that we can actually integrate into the paragraph we eventually write about the street art, but we're also looking for material that might give people more background. So let's see what happens if I go in here and I just type in Chicano Park. Let's see what kind of results I get. So, in other words, one thing we can look for in terms of research is the place that we're interested in. So I'm going to click Chicano Park, and I get a bunch of results. This is actually an artist who works there. That's kind of cool, who did a lot of his work there. And this is actually about Chicano Park. And I click in here and I get a nice little article about Chicano Park. It's not real long, but what we know is that it's written by an expert in the field. And I can look this woman up on the web and find out about her. But also I'm given a little bit of a works cited. I'm given another book that I could refer to, which is very interesting. In this case, it's a journal article. And I'm given an MLA citation, which I can now copy. If I use this source, I can copy that MLA citation and put it straight into my works cited page. So this is a really good example of how efficient a database can be and how useful a database can be. Now, I just showed you how you can use a database to find to search for a place. But you could also, in terms of background, search for the art form. So if I'm interested in murals, let's see what I get if I search for murals and see if I get an article about that. All right, look at that, Chicano mural movement. And I can click on that article and get some information about murals and the role they played in Chicano culture. And again, I get an expert, I get a works cited with further reading, and an MLA citation. So 2 things that I can look for background material on are the location, where the street art is. The second thing I can look for is background about the type of art form, whether it's a certain type of building, or whether it's a statue, or whether it's a mural, or whether it's some other kind of memorial or monument or art form. I can look up that form. The third thing I can do is I can look up the artist. That's another approach that I can take. I can look up, if I know who the artist is, I can look up the particular artist. Now, obviously, we're not all going to Chicano Park to find murals. So you're not all going to go into the Latino American experience. You can do the steps that I just did, in Daily Life Through History or Pop Culture Universe. And you can look up things like the kind of art form that you're looking at, the place where you found the art, and information about the artist. But you can also look up contemporary background and the things that were happening in America at the time the piece of art was made, and or the cultural relevance of the things referred to in the mural. So there's lots of things you can look for here. And you've got the American Mosaic to search in, you've got Daily Life Through History, you've got Pop Culture Universe. So with this in mind, go ahead and complete the research activity for your street art project that I've set up for you in Blackboard. And don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions.